Well, hello, good afternoon to you, and welcome to Tottenham Hotspur, USA. I am DJ Paul, and I am excited, I'm delighted, and this is how I want to feel after a game. After the Frankfurt game, you feel like we had achieved something. You feel like there was something that was there for us to take advantage of. And we went in and we did that on the road, albeit. I know that, just the form that we are showing at home, it could have been detrimental had the game been at home and we were not playing well. And so I look at it this way. I try to be reasonable in my thought when it comes to the fans. And even though I do produce videos here on YouTube, I listen to a lot of content. I also find myself in a lot of chat rooms, and some are very nice, some are not. Sometimes I've been told that I'm passive aggressive. Sometimes I'm just being called an asshole. Period. So I get it full length when it comes on to being in the YouTube community. I do mess around on Facebook, and that's it, YouTube and Facebook. But one of the things that happen, or one of the many things, are the most important thing that happens when you get involved on YouTube. You get sucked in, and when you get sucked in, it becomes a community all by itself. And so what you have are the same people. I don't want to say kind of cult following. I just think it's a community with diverse opinions. The problem, though, is that they are the same people. I myself may have subscribed to 5 different YouTube channels. And so I'm in those chat rooms and I see the people who are in those chat rooms every day, and the conversation becomes the same thing. So there's a lot of regurgitation that is happening within. There's more about personality, personnel, and things that we do not know rather than things that we are seeing with our own eyes on the football pitch. I will say this though, that your club is in a good place when you can talk about the football and not about the owner, the back room, and all of that good stuff. Most of the times when clubs are doing well, we're going to find fans that have something to gripe about, but in general, we're supposed to be able to talk about football. And so it leads me into the mindset and the psychic sum of how our fans behave. And when you go back after a game and you start saying, well, we just won a game, and you're like, maybe not. We just, sort of stave off or put aside something that was inevitable to surface more than it was, or back to the heights of which it was before, which is attacking the manager, attacking the players, attacking the board, the owner, and all of that. That's all that this winning does. And so I can go back to one of my favorite quotes, only because he coached the Knicks, Pat Riley, of basketball fame, saying that winning is everything pretty much. He said there's winning and then there is misery. And so right now we have a lot of misery than we have winning. And that lends to the kind of regurgitation of the same things. One of the things that surprised me though, well, this is one of the many things I'm talking about, things that I find to take you away from the football that's happening, that your own eyes are seeing, to somewhere else. And this is the one I don't understand. and bear with me for a second. If winning a silverware and trophy, right? I'm going to put a caveat to that before I get into it. I was one of the fans who said I wanted Ange out. I'm not going to relitigate that. But that was after a year and a half of loving his front foot football and realizing that there was nothing tactical beyond that when we start to have all these injuries and he never changes tactics and he never adapts, so to speak. It was always going to be how Ange wants to play, how he wants to get it done, and it just was not working. And therefore, I came to the conclusion last November that he's not going to adapt. However, I did said, no matter what, or who was coaching this team, we were going to win the Europa. I felt that in myself that we were going to win the Europa. But the thing that I came to, and I said it, and I might be doing an apology tour when I look back at how some of the people who support or the fans who came aboard and right now are saying that we could have kept Ange. I looked at it and analyzed what I said and how I felt, and I was saying that, hey, if winning, which is the ultimate, is to get a silverware, and we stayed up. Doesn't matter if we were, 2 points above the relegation or stave off relegation as we finished 17th on all the games that we lost. The end product at the end of the season, you look back and said, well, this was an achievement. We should not be looking back at how we achieved it, because the ultimate goal is to get silverware. And I am at fault in terms of not looking at that when I said, okay, it doesn't matter what. And this is no buyer's remorse. This is not because Frank is not doing well. This is just saying that I'm feeling how other fans felt, and now I'm looking at it from another point of view to say, hey, maybe I was quick on the trigger as well. Maybe I was thinking of, what, the football may not be right, but who is to say what is right if you're going to win silverware? And I understand that what came after that is that this is not our football. And therefore, when you look at it, and we knew that Conte and we knew that Jose was never going to play Spurs football, and Daniel Levy not alluded to, he said it, so make it a factual statement. He said that he knew what Spurs football is like, was like, but the demand for the change was that he was going to go out there and get tried and proven, and he did that with Jose and Conte, and it still did not work out. And therefore, the shift now was to go back to Ange, who is going to play football and do football totally different, bring you a little closer to the Pochettino days and the Martin Joel and those. Harry Redknapp was the closest that was available. So he went out and he did that, but he did not give us the winning side of the entertainment as far as football is supposed to be. We're attacking expressive club, and therefore anyone that comes in going to have to show that in some part for the greater part. But I was assuming that the ultimate is to win something, and therefore I think when they were looking at it, we're saying, let's use, say, a Ten Hag at Man United, for argument's sake. They renewed his contract twice after winning the FA Cup and also the Carabao Cup. But as we will take it to be, is that is not United's standard. And therefore, what we're looking at is saying that we are trying to be at the same standard at Man United without the trophies and the aura to show that we are above United standard. And I think in that instance we can Ange, because we were misrepresenting who we actually are. And therefore I can look back and I can understand. And I was talking past the people, talking past the younger generation who sees that as the only thing, the only time they get a chance to celebrate, because the last time we did was 17 years prior. So we have to understand that section of the fan base. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I want to be reasonable. I am not going back and say, look, it's 2020 vision in hindsight. I'm just saying, when you look at the whole thing and you look at what led you to the decision, mine was football. I like a tactical manager. I like a manager that tries things. I like a manager who tries to fix things from within. And I did not see Ange as that person. Incidentally, just looking at Frank's resume, even though he's coming from a smaller club, with everything that he has now, he seemed to match the profile of what we would need. But then you have to consider the pressure that is going to build on him when he took over Spurs. I would say that one of the things that also happened, one more thing I'm adding to the list, is that he inherited a squad that was built for a different kind of manager, and that squad right now is young, inexperienced, and in some ways are just misfits to playing one-on-one football. And I think what's happening now I'm going to say this, but I'm not exactly saying it. With less to choose from, Frank is beginning to find his groove. I'm not saying that his back is against the wall or anything like that, because you still have to pull the right levers to get to where you need to get to. And I think after whatever he has gone through is beginning to show signs. He incorporated a back three without it being noticeable. No one is talking about his formation anymore. No one is talking about whether or not the players are good enough, because there are signs that the players can adjust, they can adapt, and I think Frank is beginning to do what he needs to do to get results. Even though the results are not coming, there are signs that the football has settled down. So I personally would say give him a chance, and therefore I think in this instance, if you never gave Ange that chance, the next manager who came in deserved to get that second look. Look at the factors that affecting Thomas Frank. And therefore we can move on that. I don't think all of a sudden Frank just became a lousy coach. I don't think he just became a lousy manager. And that leads me now back to the fans. And so during the Pochettino time, these are fans, and I'm not making this up, is that we look at the dislike that we might have for say, a Daniel Levy, Enoch. The more we dislike Levy, the closer we get to disliking Enoch. And sometimes we just mold both of them together, that they're just cut from the same cloth, and therefore we can't look at it that maybe we have a good owner, and then on the other side we just have a poor chairman, or we have a chairman that can run a club, but you just need to give up the football side of what's happening so he can concentrate on doing the aesthetic and run the club. Get someone, a director of football, who you can trust to do what you need to do, and that. But Levy was trying to run just about everything. And the last part of what I actually want to say to that is, we wanted him gone so bad that when you look at what's happening now, the intent for me, there are 2 points I'm going to make here. The intent for me is that, yes, Daniel Levy is gone. I was never a Daniel Levy out. I don't gonna throw anybody out. I can disagree with what the manager is doing. I'm saying from a football standpoint, like I was saying, in that case, if he should go, it is not because I don't like him. It's because I don't see him being tactical or adjusting to what the Premier League needs. And so that is where I did draw my conclusion as far as Andrew was concerned. I don't think it was going to get better. And even after he won, I was like, okay, he won, but are we going to be better in the Premier League? We don't know that because he left. And therefore, what I'm saying with Frank is that now that we have Frank and we actually gave him what Ange was working with, that does not suit what Frank is doing. We are now going to just throw away Frank because we are upset that we did not give Angie a chance to have a second season, so to speak, or third season in Angie's case, that we want to use the same players and the same inadequacy in the squad and put that on Frank. We need to give him a window. And one of the many things that I'm listing here, that the second point is that when Daniel Levy goes, what went with him? Nothing actually went with him but his presence. And everything it seemed, leaving these bunch of misfits that are left, with Lange, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, hadn't shown me enough in 5 windows that he knows what he's doing. Paratici was a nomad. I don't know if Paratici wanted to be here or if there was going to be whatever the dual leadership when it comes on to the talent and the director of football. That never seemed like it was going to work. I'm going to only talk about things that come to the fore. I'm not going to speculate about why and ifs and all of that. I'm just saying that when that is presented, I first say, I don't know if this is going to work, because then you have a divide in whether or not do I go out and scout a player or do I now go to the academy? What do I do now that I have 2 directors of football? How does that work if I want my kid, to go towards the, on a loan or come to the first team? There always going to be conflict that's there. I don't know what Charrington actually does, so I have no comment. Mackenzie, who is supposed to be this whiz in the matrix and all the stuff that he does, I don't see that in the recruitment. And therefore, if the recruitment, is Bergval and Gray and Johnson, then he hasn't shown me anything. Kolomwani and even Javis Simmons to a lesser degree. I am not going to say that we sign players because of emergency or this fell through or that fell through. That's the business of football. And I'm not going to be one of those fans who are going to knock his signing. Listen, if Benton Kerr went down and we went out and we got Conor Gallagher, more powers to us. If we didn't want Brennan Johnson for whatever reason, we have kudos and we sold him, more powers to us. It means that you're doing something to rectify something that you don't want in the fold. And therefore, I'm not going to say anything is wrong with that. The problem I would have with that is not bringing somebody in. So there is a disconnect between what's happening in reality to make the football team better and what is happening in the back room. And so the longer you see that as a fan, remember, I'm talking with the eye test. I don't particularly think we need a left winger. I honestly don't. I think that if you're going to sign $70 million worth of players in thinking, I think they do deserve time to develop and at least a half a year to see if they're worth whatever it is. Remember, Odebeer was injured and Solanke being injured and Mwani. Tell had to play through the middle, Richarlison as well. So there were a lot of factors in the beginning of the year that you'll say, this is the reason why certain things happen. Pardon me. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. Really, really sorry. I apologize. And so when we get to this juncture, the only thing I'm seeing right now is that we are always looking somebody to blame. And right now, we are blaming Frank for the backroom mismanagement. What we also see coming to fore is that it gets into the point of wherein be careful what you wish for, because we all were thinking that Daniel Levy through the door is going to make Spurs backroom better. It's going to make Spurs management better, and it has not. we all think that Daniel Levy was nickel and diamond and penny pitching and bargaining against himself and would have been getting players in because we know what the issues were. Just a change, in a different direction. At the beginning of the window, we know what the problems were because we had those problems when the window closed at the end of 1st of September. We knew who we wanted. And on top of that, we also have the injuries, which validates what you're supposed to be working on. And therefore, if in all of major leagues, football, all the major leagues, you can go out there and find 10 players that you can scout and narrow it down to 3, then there is something absolutely wrong with what's going on here. And we thought all of that was going to change once Daniel Levy exit stage left. And we are worse off, in my opinion, than when Daniel Levy was here. And I don't want to say it if I have not said it already. Be careful what you are wishing for because you might just get it. And it's the same thing right now with the owner. We're saying, hey, we think if Enoch decides that, hey, give me $4 billion and an owner comes in and take it, that we are going to be better because the thing that we only look at is that we want our guys to be backed. But what you're not looking at is that once, the PSR and the FFP start to come into play, you can build a squad up like Aston Villa and can't go anywhere because you're handicapped because you put so much into it. And mark you, Aston Villa hasn't won anything. They have not won anything. Newcastle did, and Newcastle was in the same boat in putting in so much into the squad to take them from relegation all the way up the table. And once you get to that where you level off and you spend and you buy just about enough to keep you in the Premier League and know when you want to play, they don't have the academy where they can sell players and they can now offset with the fair play. They don't have that. Spurs don't have that as well. We're not Chelsea and City, and Arsenal who can do that when it comes on to to fair play. Aston Villa is finding that out the hard way. So be careful. It's not just about the money. It's about finding the right players. I know that we are in a market where we can self-sustain even if we don't get a group or outside party or more investment into the squad. We can self-sustain. We're just not buying the right players. And therefore, if we get to the point where we get football people, not necessarily changing the owner, is to get football people who are going to make football decisions, and you suffer with that football decision because what is there to lose if you're suffering without football people making football decisions? So if we get it wrong a few times with football people, then we'll eventually get better. It is not always the spending that is going to give you a quick fix. Let me just say this. When you look at Bournemouth and Brentford and Brighton and all those teams that we're going gaga over, they're not winning anything. They're just here and they're playing good football because there are no expectations, and 9 out of 10 times they are playing once per week. Their expectations are way different than what Tottenham is, and so they don't carry the same pressure. So if there were pressure to go there and spend 40 and 50 and 60 million dollars, we're beginning to do that on players and pay them 120,000 pounds per week. They would feel the pressure, especially a club like Brighton. Brighton sells high and buy low, and then they develop them in a year and a half and sell high again, give back the club that they bought from 20% of their proceeds, to get players in. So it's not everything that you see is all that rosy. They're paying a premium to get the likes of Caicedo and McAllister and Baliba and Bissouma and Trossard. Look where the money went. Brighton's biggest buy is $46 million. That's not a lot of money when you consider the kind of intake that they have from players. But I bet you that they're going to develop that player, as in João Pedro, and a big club is going to walk in and take them, and they're going to finish ninth, and everyone is going to say, wow, why can't we be like Brighton? Do you want to finish ninth and don't play in Europe, but you can develop players? You can go there and find players like Caicedo for £4 million and then sell him for 115 and then turn around and give back the club, 20% of that proceed? Is that what you want Spurs to be like? No, we'll never be like that. Because if we're not in Europe, then we're not going nowhere. Brighton and Bournemouth and Brentford is comfortable being in the Premier League. Spurs is a total different thing. And so the pressure and the expectations are different. And so even though we're having a bad run, right, it is not because, right, we are having that bad run, quote, per se. It is because of who we actually are. They're clubs, they're teams who want to see us go down. They're fans who can't appreciate that we have built ourselves up from where the Bournemouths and the Brightons used to be. And now we are one of the top 6 clubs in the Premier League and one of the biggest clubs in the world. I feel the energy, and I'm from the United States. I'm not even from Europe. But I feel the love for Spurs. You understand? And there are many like me around. And we feel the pressure to support our club. So for those who are saying, you don't want your club to be relegated. You cheer for your club. And if we lose, look at how we lose and try to go at it the next time. For all I care, I cares. It is, I want to beat City. I don't give two rats what happened to Arsenal. Let Arsenal go choke themselves. If they want to win the Premier League, they will do what they need to do. But we are not supposed to be helping any team to stop Arsenal from winning. If you want to stop Arsenal from winning, you go beat them. Don't worry about City. We want to beat City on the weekend. I'm not one who want my club to lose, doesn't matter who we are playing. And so in this iteration, I want to feel good going into Sunday. I want to feel good that, you know what, I don't care who Arsenal is playing. Want to beat City, I don't want to beat Arsenal. Want to take those 6 points and let them worry about it. Because it's going to wash out to be the same thing. If they want to go lose to somebody else, that's their problem. But as Tottenham Hotspur, and as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, I want to beat them all. It might not happen, but my mindset before the whistle blow is that we're going to win. And I will never change that. It doesn't matter who ends up winning the Premier League. We are not going to win it. You understand? So our job is to accumulate as many points as we can, and it doesn't matter who we get it from. We don't understand that when you look at it and you're like, okay, where's Crystal Palace now? Where is Bournemouth now? Where is Brentford? Where is Brighton? They're all in the same boat with us. Because you know what? We are a much bigger club, better club, but we're just having a bad run. And if we just win and get a few more points, we need about 7 to 8 points. And if we get that on the trot, we are in a good spot. We will climb the table. We just need to stop beating ourselves. And so for me, I have to remain positive. I don't know about you, but let me say this, and I always say it every time I get the chance. Owners will come and owners will go. Managers will come, managers will go. Players will come and bless them. They will come too, and they will go whether from the academy, right? And the only permanent, again, location Someone can decide that they don't want Tottenham Hotspur Stadium anymore and they buy the club and move it. It's a little far-fetched to think, but you can move the club if you want. That's a possibility, right? But what's permanent is that if we get relegated, that won't happen, and we go down to Division 2, you know who will be there? Us. The fans will always be there. So why do I want my club to lose? I want my club to be in the biggest competition every year, and that is where I want to root for them from. That's the point of view that I have every single time, that fans, we the fans, are the only permanent. Not even the name of the club is permanent, to be honest with you, but us, we will never change, because we'll always be the fan of that club. Wherever they are, whoever is managing, whether their name change or location change, we will always be the permanent to the club. So why would you want your club to do badly? Why would you wish for your club to be relegated? Why wouldn't you want to beat United or City or Arsenal? Why would we want to worry about if Arsenal win the title? They were winning titles long before us, and they have won after us. So in this iteration of everything, I can't be worried about Arsenal. I can't be worried about City. Let them take care of themselves. If Arsenal wants to not win, let them go lose to Sunderland or to Brighton or to Bournemouth or whoever else. But for us, our one job is to go beat them and contribute to them not winning, not beat another club to aid Arsenal, or get beaten by another club to make sure Arsenal doesn't win. What kind of backward thinking is that? I don't get it, and I will never get it. And so let me leave it right there. I'm DJ Paul for Tottenham Hotspur USA, and we're feeling good. We definitely played well in the Europe, in Europe, and we deserve to finish in the top 8, get that bye. And so we wait for the draw after those rounds of whatever other games are going to play. So be good, walk good, until next time. And as always, come on, you Spurs.